Almost Heaven, West Virginia. The song lyrics are strangely loved and known by people all around the world, yet many have not witnessed the majestic mountains and spectacular beauty of our mountain state. 100 Things WV is a podcast about all things West Virginia, designed to go along with our newly published 100 Things to Do in West Virginia Before You Die book, part of a national book series by Reedy Press. Food, outdoor attractions, parks, festivals, breweries, books, boutiques, hotels, sporting events, museums, and more will be discussed in this bi-monthly podcast airing on Travel Tuesdays. I'm Melody Pittman, co-author of the book, established blogger and influencer, and new podcaster. I hope you'll join me. Okay, today I'm so excited. I have a special guest. She is a great travel writer and friend. She lives in neighboring Pennsylvania, but she comes to West Virginia quite often. Robin O'Neill Smith, we're so glad to have you here. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here. I live in Bedford County, Pennsylvania, and I'm about an hour from the West Virginia border. So it's an easy day trip to go for the day and return home if we desire. Often we spend the night in Berkeley Springs. That's one of our favorite places in West Virginia. And I've been travel writing for about 4 years now, going on 4 years. I've traveled all over the country and write about where I go.
And I'm so excited because I met you kind of near the beginning of your trip. I think we might have been in California together at that time. Was that California?
I think it was Vegas.
Vegas. Yeah, you're right.
Was
Vegas.
it?
Yeah, we walked like 24 miles in 3 days. So
yes, we did.
Yeah. Okay, so Robin is here and she's going to talk about her choice of West Virginia topics was Berkeley Springs. She is an expert in the baths and the springs. Like this girl gets all over the country and does this. And so since 1776, Berkeley Springs has provided respite and relaxation. It's 90 minutes from Washington, D.C. and Baltimore. How far is Berkeley Springs from you?
It's about an hour, maybe 55 minutes to an hour.
Okay.
It's a real easy drive.
What were your thoughts about Berkeley Springs without the main thing? What were your thoughts of Berkeley Springs?
Well, when I first went there, I was really surprised with how small the state park was, because Berkeley Springs State Park, I thought, oh, it's going to be like a big state park. And it is a very small state park with a lot of things packed into a very small area.
Right.
And the town is very quaint. It's fun. There's a lot of antique shopping and little boutiques to spend your time in. So we had a great time just, walking around. It's very walkable. Everybody's so friendly there. Right.
I did some antique shopping there too. I get it. Okay. Now let's talk about the old Roman bathhouse and spa. And can you tell us, is that the one that you did? And what was your experience there?
Yes. Well, we had a lovely experience. There's several spas in Berkeley Springs. It was the first spa in America, first spa town in America. So I wanted to go there just to see what it would be like compared to some of the other spas I had been to. And it was a lot of fun, but it was very unique. Like when we went into the Roman bath, it's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a huge, it's not a bathtub. It's like a huge enclosure that the water is about 3.5 feet deep. And it's like a small swimming pool, or when you would think of going into a hot tub somewhere, it's even bigger than the hot tub. And you could go one at a time. My husband and I went together. The water was very warm. It was very interesting to see how they filled the spa, or how they filled the tub, the Roman bathtub for you. And then, you could see all the pipes and everything. And then we enjoyed the luxurious bath. It was very interesting and different than anything that I had done before. I definitely loved it. And I've done it several times and we'll do it again.
Okay. And what was the temperature of that particular one? Do you remember what the temperature was? I know it's probably...
I don't remember. I think it was about 102.
Okay.
I think. Can't be positive.
Yeah. Okay. So how was the changing station and so forth? Because a lot of people, don't go to spas or something, or of this kind of nature, because they're intimidated about taking their clothes off, or there not being enough privacy. So can you run me through that?
Right. Yes. You go into a room and they give you a robe to put on, and you can take everything off if you want to do that, or you can leave your swimsuit on, which we wore a swimsuit when we did it.
Okay.
There was plenty of privacy. Then whenever you were they took you into the tub and they closed the door, and then they left you check the temperature, make sure that it was to your, satisfaction. And then you had complete privacy the entire time you were in there. There was a little timer thing that went off, and they knocked on the door and said, your time is up and you need to
vacate
your robe on and come back out, And now I was just interested in how the water left it and everything. So, I mean, we stayed a little bit afterwards just to watch all that happening.
Okay.
But you had privacy. There was never a time whenever I felt like I was being exposed or anything like that.
Okay. And what did your husband think of it?
He loved it. Yeah, he was like, "Oh, this is great. Let's go back."
I get it.
It's very relaxing, and we had great conversation while we were just relaxing in the Roman bath. I mean, I would definitely recommend it to anybody.
So the one that's across the street that's closer to the country inn? It was directly across the path from the old Roman. So that's the one I did. And I was just there for the day getting some information for the 100 Things to Do in West Virginia Before You Die book. And it just so happened they were full. They do recommend reservations. And so I went to the old Roman bathhouse and was told, absolutely no way. They were absolutely packed. So I went across the street. They were booked too, but they were very good to get me in. They juggled a bunch of things around and did get me in for the 20-minute soak. So I was really appreciative of that. So that was nice.
Yeah, we did that one too.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did you like one better than the other?
I like them both. I would do them both again. But we had a lot more room in the old Roman bathhouse. It was much bigger, much larger than the other one. But they were both wonderful. They were both very accommodating. You had a lot of privacy.
Okay. On the tourism website, there's a fun fact. It says the historic Roman bathhouse on the north end of the park has 9 individual 750-gallon walk-in tubs with private chambers available by the half hour. It also says that females and males are on different sides. Did you see that or notice that if you were a male bather and you were a female bather, you weren't together as a couple or something? Did you notice anything about that, or did it matter? You had a private door?
No, but we made the appointment as a couple. So that was probably, and I know they did say there was certain places for couples, to go. So I don't know. I didn't see anybody. I mean, there were females there, but I didn't see any other males there at the time we were there. We were there in February, and it was a weekday, and it was in the middle of COVID. That put another wrinkle in it, So,
so on my visit, which was last fall, my friend Angie and I were there, my co-author. We were there, and it turns out that there was this group of ladies. They were from Georgia, Florida, Colorado. I think there were 8 or 9 of them. And they had graduated from a high school in West Virginia, like in the 50s or something. And they go on this girls' trip every year. And so they were just so cute. I took their picture out on those stairs, and it was really sweet.
Yeah, so when we were there was a group staying at the hotel and it might have been the same group. There was like 6 of them there together. And they said they came every year, but it was a girls' trip. They were having fun.
Okay, so somebody famous bathed here in Berkeley Springs. Can you tell us who that famous person was and about that?
Yes, that was our first president, George Washington. When George was 16 years old, he first came to Berkeley Springs. It wasn't called Berkeley Springs then. And he was surveying the ground for Lord Fairfax. And there's still a fountain there for Lord Fairfax, since he was the original owner of the area.
Did not know that.
Yeah. And George loved the area, and he returned many, many times before he became president. And he invested in the area and helped to create that first spa in America. And some of his wealthy friends and him went together to create this spa. It was very small at the time. A lot of the bathing took place outside at that time. And the bathtub that is there is called George Washington's bathtub. It's in the state park. I was very surprised because I thought this was going to be this real deep hole in the ground where they bathed, but it isn't. It is about maybe 2 feet deep, 3 at the most. I don't think it's that deep. And the water that runs through there is very cold. I think it's 74 degrees year round.
Ooh.
So I don't think it would have been real comfortable to bathe in that. But they said that the people that visited felt that it helped them heal or rejuvenated their bodies in some way. And they would come and they would drink the water and they would bathe in the water. And
very
so
interesting. Yeah, I was
the
surprised
original
by the size.
Yeah, there was a wooden bathhouse originally that they created a few years later, and then I think it burned. And so they built a block type bathhouse then, and that it was built right where the bathhouse is now, only it's the same bathhouse, only it's been updated several times.
Okay.
But the foundation is still the same one from way back then.
So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see my hand doing the measurement. If you're on a podcast, sorry. But the bathtub is about double this size lengthwise and probably this wide. Like George was skinny, you know.
Yeah, I would say it's about 5 feet, 5 to 6 feet in length, and not very deep. You know, he would have been able to sit in there, but I don't think he would have been able to lay down flat.
Right.
You know, it would not have been very comfortable.
Exactly.
I don't think.
Ours was a lot more comfortable.
Yeah. Yes, much more comfortable. But yeah, he was the start of the first spa in America.
So when you're writing about this, do you refer to it, or does it matter if it's healing waters or natural spring waters, or do you know what the correct terminology is? Because I see those terms used interchangeably a lot, and I'm not sure.
Well, the Native Americans and the people for the settlers that first lived there or came there, they thought they were healing waters, and it is mineral spring water. So I think both are probably correct. But they're not hot. They're not hot springs. They are cold. I was told they are called warm springs because it's 74 degrees instead of like 50 degrees.
Right.
But 74 degrees is not hot, and it didn't feel warm to me.
Okay.
You know,
and I will note that in Berkeley Springs State Park, it's located in the heart of town, and there's an outdoor pool that's open in the summer. And they also have a public tap. I found this so surprising that this is like drinkable, free spring water, and people bring jugs there. And it's a free facility, so you can come bring whatever you want and fill them up. Did that surprise you? Well, that was so quirky.
You know, it didn't surprise me that people were drinking out of this free fountain, but what surprised me was the size of jugs. You know, I was thinking, they bring a gallon jug. I mean, people were bringing huge 3 and 5 gallon jugs and filling them, and they would come with a wagon, some of them, and they would have these big jugs in the wagon, and they would fill them up, and then they would go, and then they would put them in their vehicle and come back and fill a few more. We talked to one guy, and he swears by it. He said, you know, this water is what's keeping me alive. And he said, I cannot live without it. I make the trip. He said it was an hour trip for him. He makes the trip like every 2 weeks to fill all these jugs. And he swears by it. And he also said, at least once a month, I come and enjoy one of the bathhouses. So he believes in it.
Right.
But,
and I think if I remember correctly, I think my 20-minute soak, or I think it's 30 minutes total, but 20-minute soak, I think mine was around $33. So I thought that was not a bad price at all. It was a great afternoon thing to do. But I have a little fun fact for you. Maybe you've heard of this, but I just wanted to tell our listeners about this. I was just amazed when I saw this on the tourism board site, because I've never heard anything about this. And I lived in West Virginia for 44 years. And I like to consider myself pretty, sharp on what's going on in the Mountain State. However, they just had the 33rd annual Berkeley Springs International Water Tasting, February 23rd through the 26th. 5 continents had water entered in the contest, and there were 100 entries. So everybody wants to know who won the gold. The gold for the best municipal water went to Clear Brook, British Columbia, Canada. And, I've traveled the Midwest a lot and go to Kansas a lot. So I had to give a shout out to Emporia, Kansas, because they were tied for 4th place. And there were lots of entries for best purified drinking water and sparkling water from Italy, Greece, Bosnia, Taiwan, West Indies, and the list goes on and on. So you knew about this.
Well, I learned about it when I visited. The following week after we were there was going to be this international water festival, only it was sort of a pared down festival because of COVID and everything at that time. But they still had a lot of people from the States coming, and other people, I guess, had sent water to be tested, but they weren't going to be able to be there at the time.
I thought that was just cool.
it was really interesting, to learn that people from all over the world were coming there for this water festival.
Okay, so did you have a meal in Berkeley Springs, or do you have a favorite meal in Berkeley Springs?
Oh, yeah. We had a couple meals, but I can't tell you the name of the restaurant off the top of my hand. We had to get in the car and drive. Well, we ate in the hotel, and they had wonderful food right there in the...
Was this the Country Inn?
Yes, at the Country Inn. They have fantastic food. And their pretzels, they have these, if you like soft pretzels, they're in a braided log of soft pretzels. And it was delicious.
And I know from knowing you for so long that you did not have any cheese to dip your pretzels in.
Right. I had mustard. So they were delicious. And we had a whole meal there, and we ate breakfast there, I think.
Did you make it to Beehive Cafe?
No, I did not.
It was closed when I was there, and I was so bummed. It looks really good.
We were there like a Monday. I think it was a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And Monday, almost everything was closed. Tuesday, there were a few things open. It wasn't...
And it was during COVID, as you said.
Yeah, it was during COVID. Lots of things were not quite back to normal, because it was towards the end. But still, it was, things weren't quite back to where they would be now. But and we drove out of town a little bit to go to the one restaurant, but I don't remember the name of it. But it was very good. Everything was, great while we were there.
So, Robin, I know you've done a lot of hot springs, warm springs, some kind of mineral baths, soaks around the country. What would be your favorite outside of West Virginia?
Well, Colorado has wonderful hot springs. They have the historic hot spring loop that we did last summer, and we visited 11 different hot springs as we toured Colorado. And the two in that state that were my favorite was Pagosa Springs and Glenwood Springs. And I've been back to Glenwood. That was my third visit to Glenwood, but my first to Pagosa. So those two, I think, are my favorite, and on the western part of the country. And here on the east, my backyard is Bedford Springs. While they don't have hot springs there, they do have the Berkeley bath ritual. It's a heated mineral water that is very luxurious. So I highly recommend that.
Where can we find what you have written about either Berkeley Springs or other springs around the country?
The best place to find my writing is on the Travel Awaits site, travelawaits.com. And if you just search for Berkeley Springs, my articles will pop up along with a couple others probably.
Okay. And they could search Robin O'Neill Smith as well and pull up all your articles?
Yeah, but there's like 200 articles there, so it will take some scrolling if you do it that way.
She is an expert contributor, I might add. Okay, yes. And could you share too? I've followed along on your travels all over the place, and I remember that Colorado trip very well, and it looked fantastic. I had been in Durango right before you, and I could kick myself for not going over to Pagosa Springs. So where can we follow along on your travels on social platforms?
Probably the two best places to follow me on social would be my Facebook page, which is facebook.com/RobinS89.
Okay.
And then on Instagram, on there as A Touch of Luxury Travel.
Okay, A Touch of Luxury Travel. I like that. I like that Berkeley Springs tagline is soak it all in. That's pretty cool. Pretty clever.
Yes. Yeah. We did. When we were there, we soaked it all in.
Okay. Well, I thank you so much for coming on here and being my test pilot, if you might. So I look forward to seeing you in San Antonio very soon.
Yes, it was a pleasure to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. Hope our paths cross while I'm in West Virginia on this book tour.
I hope so too.
Okay. Take it easy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
You can read more about Berkeley Springs in an article on my website, whereverImayroamblog.com, because this article that just came out recently is an exciting West Virginia Panhandle road trip. It includes the areas of Shepherdstown, Charlestown, Harpers Ferry, which is also where the confluence of Potomac and Shenandoah rivers meet, West Virginia, Maryland, and Virginia, and Berkeley Springs. And again, their tagline, Berkeley Springs, is soak it all in. That's just really, really clever. Learn even more about West Virginia by buying my book. You can pre-order right now, but it'll be on the shelves very soon. You can order that at readypress.com and just look under West Virginia under the search, or Melody Pittman, MELODY PITTMAN. You can follow along on our social channels at 100ThingsWV, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and you can hear our podcast wherever you get your podcasts under 100 Things WV. We hope you'll subscribe.